Having a great day. It's Tuesday. It's actually almost Wednesday. It means half the week is over. Pretty close to it, at least. So, welcome to Cooped Up Live, should I say, my daily ish broadcast where I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about while we are waiting on folks to join. Cooped Up is my website. You can visit that at any time. You can also sign up to get very, very, very rarely sent super sporadic emails from me about the things that I think you should know about. I'm Cooped Up is my handle in all the social places. Would love a follow wherever you are, particularly if you're on the Instagrams. That would be a great place to start. And wherever you watch or listen to this, it airs on Facebook Live, both on my personal profile and the Cooped Up page, which you should be following already, and on YouTube Live, as well as rebroadcast in audio format on all the major podcasting platforms in case you want to listen while you're jogging or driving to work or whatever. Be sure to click the bell so that you get notified whenever I post new content. Hey, Mama, how are you doing today? Yeah, I'm having a day. I'm going to tell you, I'm having quite a day. Part of it I haven't decided if I'm going to talk about yet. Maybe by the time I get going, maybe I should have a glass of wine, figuring that out. But I'll start with the part that I do know that I'm going to be able to tell you all about. So, death. It smells real bad. I'll just preface it with that. You're like, oh, do tell. So we own a house in the Bishop Arts District that I've been using as my office for about the last 5 years. It is a 2-story big white farmhouse with a picket fence. It's probably about 3,000 square feet and big old yard, all that kind of stuff. Really, really cute house. And I redid it, sort of. I mostly redid it, gussied it up some so that it could be my office. And we moved into it, bought it, and the property value has gone up. But it's now too big for the way people work. So we downsized my office to a space. I wanted something less maintenance. I wanted something easy that I just was a renter. I did not want to own it for at least a few years. And so moved to this gorgeous, much smaller open concept office. It's a former interior designer's office in West Dallas, just right around the corner from my house. So we are going to be selling the house on Bishop Boulevard in the Bishop Arts District very, very soon. And it's been one of those things I've been meaning to get to. In the meantime, I'm paying rent and mortgage on it. I moved into the new place in January, I believe. So it's been a minute. And so I was talking to the realtor, ran into that at the charity event Friday night, ran into the realtor that we use for things like this. And I'm like, we've not been ignoring you. She knows all about it. We're like, just have patience with us. We're just trying to get a bunch of stuff under our belts. Just a lot going on. Todd's new position at work, this campus stuff for the kids' school, like just a lot of things going on, knowing full well that we're going to make plenty of money back to pay back for the double up of mortgage and such. So not a huge hurry, but then we were like, okay, it's time. Let's just do it. I was going to give her the security code. I was like, let me go by this weekend. Let me make sure everything is okay. Cause it's been largely not used for about the last 3 years because of the pandemic. And then we came back for a little bit and then we've been kind of hybrid. I was like, let me just make sure it's okay. Clean up a little bit before you come in. Make sure nothing crazy happened. I get to the door Saturday morning, little stick vacuum cleaner in hand. I was going to just do a little dusting and all that kind of stuff. Open the door and the wall of death that hits me, the stench of death that hits me. And it is an unmistakable smell. If you've ever had an animal die under your house or whatever, you just cannot, you can't even describe it. It just smells so bad. And your eyes start to water. You start kind of gagging, all of that. And so so I was like, okay, so something has died. And this house has a really high crawl space because it's pier and beam and it sits really high off the ground. So I thought, oh, this will be easy peasy to get out, right? Do not mistake, I was not going to do it myself. But I have a pest control contract that we've used for years because there's so many squirrels are all over the place. They're always trying to get into the walls, into the crawl space, all that kind of stuff. So I have like a maintenance contract for this sort of thing, exactly this sort of thing. And so so I called them, and the earliest they could come out is Monday to take care of it. And by the way, years ago, years and years and years ago, we had a raccoon die under this house, the one I'm sitting in right now, and it died. And we have the tiniest little crawl space. Todd can get under there and kind of shimmy around. You need to be a smaller person to be able to do it. I'm too big. My body just doesn't even bend well enough to kind of get into the crawl space. So we had a raccoon die under the house, and it stank so bad. And we had a charity event at the house the night that we discovered it, and it was only just starting to smell a little bit. So we went on with the event. By the time the event was over, I was apologizing to people about how terrible my house smells, and then that day they couldn't get it out for like 3 days either. And finally they went under, and this damn thing was so bloated and so big, it was a huge raccoon, that they had to hack it to pieces and put it in a trash bag. Hacked to pieces. I can even imagine being this poor guy on your belly in the crawl space, having to hack this thing to pieces to be able to get it into the trash bag so that it could come out of the hole. And they had to come out of the hole through the house, which was terrible, terrible. Anyway, we've since replaced all of the vent covers and all of that stuff around the crawl space, just so that will never happen again. But that immediately came back to me when I went into the other house that we own on Saturday, and I'm like, oh my God, the smell. And of course it was right as we're thinking, okay, next week we're going to just go ahead and put it on the market. We're going to get a price, we're going to get them, and then within the next 10 days or so, it's going to be on the market. So I met yesterday with the guy, and yesterday afternoon, right before the show, actually, I met with the pest control guy, Lee. I think Lee is his name. And he's always the same guy that comes out from ABC Pest, and he crawls under the crawl space. And again, in that one, you can crawl on all fours in that crawl space. You don't have to do the military crawl. It gets high enough where even I've gotten under there one time ever, and I choose not to, but I could if I needed to. And he's looking, and he's looking, and he's looking, and he does not find a dead animal under the house. And he could find the area where the smell was coming from, but there was no animal to be seen or heard from or anything. So he's like, well, I have bad news for you. It means this thing has died in the wall of your house. And he's like, so there's nothing we can do to get it out. We just have to let it rot. We have to let it. Basically, he said, at the temperatures we're having right now, it's going to take about a week for it to smell so bad. Oh, I forgot to go back. Saturday when I walked into the house, and I had not been there in over a week, so who knows how long it had been going on. But when I walked in, there were the flies also, and most of them were dead, but some of them were alive but not flying. They were just kind of like they were on their deathbed too. So vacuum this. I mean, hundreds of flies that I vacuumed, and they're big ones too. It was so nasty, so nasty. And so I had both the front and the back doors opened. I had the air conditioner going full blast to try to get some air moving through there and vacuuming. And, you kind of get used to it after a little while, which is a terrible, terrible thing to think about. Like if you sit in it long enough, you're going to get nose blind to it. But so Leo tells me yesterday, he was like, so in this heat, it's going to take about a week for it to decompose. And then it'll just be the skin and the bones and all of that. And it's the smelly part is when this thing just starts to ooze, I guess is the right word for it. That is disgusting sounding. But anyway, and so he went back under there and he sprayed some like industrial strength all the stuff, all of the up the wall, where you could see kind of up the walls and all that stuff. The saving grace, I don't know if this is a saving grace or not, but I'm taking it as a saving grace, is that this house is a shiplap house. So all of the walls you could drill a screw into any place in the wall. You just walk up to the wall, into the wall, because it is all shiplap. So, and then there's sheetrock covering it. I'm not Joanna Gaines. I have one room that I exposed to shiplap and I painted it black, but all the rest of them are museum finish, white very, very beautiful walls that I had done for that also. And so he was like, because if it's not, and if that thing starts to rot in your wall, the ooze could get onto your sheetrock also, which is a whole other issue. Um, but Leo did tell me, he was like, you would be surprised at how many people have dead animals in their walls. You only really notice it for about the first week or so. And then after that, it's just in there. And so like he was like, if you go to remodel your house, and next thing you know, you're finding squirrels and all that kind of stuff. Yes. Well, I'm just saying those are death flies. Yes, it was terrible. I mean, it was like, where did they come from? How did they find it? Like, does that mean that there's maggots in my wall and all of that? Like, I just don't even know. So I went back by there today to see if it's gotten any better at all. It had not. In fact, I don't know. I had just eaten lunch and I walk in, open the door, and I immediately start to like retch, like, like this. Like, it is so bad. So I'm like, okay, well, peace out, bitches. Shut the door. Just turn around, shut the door. Didn't even make it like 10 steps into the room and shut the door and left it. I'm like, this is going to sit. I texted the realtor. I was like, sorry, Kathy, I'm not giving you the code to the house. We've had an incident. There's an animal that is dead somewhere in it. And she was like, I'm so glad you found it, not me. But it's older houses. The house is over 100 years old. And it was built in the early 20s. So it's or right at 100 years old, I think. And that's just, who knows how many other squirrel carcasses are located in it. Last time we had something, so I know there's at least one other one, because we've had one other time right after we first moved in and had to like exterminate that something died in the wall. And they brought this stuff called rat sorb and just opened the lid to it. And it was like magical. It was like a genie came out of it and the smell just went away. And the guy said he didn't have any yesterday. And I've looked to order it and it's going to take like a week to get here. And it's like $18 for like it's basically like the size, maybe a large, like what you would put a syringe into, do that. Yeah. I happen to have a bunch of like odor absorbing things that I opened up. They've either maxed out or they are not working at all. Mom is saying I use store brand strong coffee, ground coffee sprinkled everywhere it was needed, and it got rid of the odor. Good thinking. I wonder if I just put it in bowls or cups or just on napkins, do you think? Because the last thing I want to do is create more work for myself where now I got to vacuum up a bunch of, remember where all the coffee things are, and then it's going to look like rats or mice and rats were in there. The good news is there's probably not any other animals nearby at the moment. There's probably, the smell of death for them is probably so strong that, yeah, ugh, gross. So yeah, that was part of my day today. Isn't that exciting? The other part of my day today is, I said I wasn't talk about this, but I am. How many of you have cried today because your children did something bad? I did. So I go to pick. So Claire thought I said something last night that I didn't mean, and I apologized to her. Well, this morning I was still getting the silent treatment. I'm not even tell you what it was, but I was getting the silent treatment this morning. I go to pick them up from school this afternoon. Both of them are talking to me like nothing is up. They ask if we can go to Juice Land to get some smoothies. I say, sure, thinking, oh, this is going to be a great day, great afternoon. We get about halfway there, and little Miss remembers that she's mad at me. And suddenly the silent treatment sets in again. And I'm asking her questions, and she's just not answering. She's just ignoring me. And you know when you'll get in the silent treatment, especially when a teenager is doing it. And so I'm like, you know what? I, like the psycho that I am my mother's son. The psycho that I am like, well, fuck you. Like, I can't even tell you that I looked before doing a U-turn in the street. I think I was possessed by Mommy Dearest and Cheryl Carson and whoever else. Cause I just, and I said, well, I guess someone's not getting some fucking smoothies today. And Claire goes, well, here we go again. Something like that. And I'm driving like I am mad. And yes, I know. I learned from the best. I will tell you, It's not fun when you're the subject of it, but it is certainly a lot of fun to retell. So came home and pulled in. Claire and I storm out of the car. Poor Mason is sitting in the car, and he just sits there. He's like, I'm not getting out of this car. I'm not getting out of this car. Well, as the afternoon progresses, oh, by the way, as I'm driving home, I start crying also because I'm just so frustrated and over the whole situation. And I've said I'm sorry and all, and I didn't even actually do anything wrong in the fucking first place, but I said sorry. And I didn't even say I'm sorry if I made you feel. I said I'm sorry for making you feel. That's what I said last night when I apologized, and again this morning. Um, uh, so anyway, the I lost my train of thought. So I'm just like, I cry when I get frustrated. I cry really easily anyway, but I cry particularly when I'm frustrated. Like it just starts to well up, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. I'm just like trying to. And of course, the way I took a U-turn, I missed our turn on our street, so I had to take kind of the long way around, which kind of added to the drama. If we're being realistic, I had to make some extra turns really fast. Surprised I didn't get a ticket. But I was like, no, nah, we are not doing this today. Wheel into the driveway like I'm about to drive through the garage. Mason, we get out. Mason's in the car. Well, Mason then proceeded to piss me off also a little bit later. So at the moment, all screens have been taken away, phones, iPads, computers. I don't know when they're getting them back. I also have to now. Here's the hard thing about parenting, and y'all know about this if you're a parent, is when you throw down a gauntlet, right? Like, how do you time it properly so that you kind of get things back to normal as quickly as possible without making it look like you're a pushover? Also, acknowledging that you may have overreacted a little bit, but not in such a way where you ever want that behavior to happen again. There's such this tension, this pull and this pull, this push and this pull, and all of this kind of stuff about this stuff. Well, because I'm like, okay, so all the screens are gone, all of this is gone. We're not doing it to no TV unless they're watching what we're watching. That's the rule. Because I don't want to punish myself either. I'm not fucking punishing myself. I'm gonna watch TV. I'm gonna play on my phone. I'm gonna play on my iPad. Yes, yes, and yes. But anyway, so now I got to figure out, now that the gauntlet was thrown, that there's no screens for anybody anymore. And they proceeded to piss Todd off too, by the way. It wasn't just me. Once they got home and Todd's like, what's going on? In the retelling of it, they pissed him off. Not because they pissed me off. They didn't piss him off. They pissed him off in a totally different way. So it's like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, they're probably at the door listening, and now I'm going to be in trouble for spilling the family beans. But anyway, I didn't even spill the beans about the most important part, and I'm not doing that. But the sensitive stuff. But anyway, so that was like, what is it? That was less than an hour ago. Yay, me. So anyway, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you all about that I forgot to tell you about yesterday. And this is a totally different subject. Let's go to positivity. Let's go to wonderfulness, all of that kind of stuff. Over the weekend here in our neighborhood, one of the kind of signature houses in our neighborhood was on the Preservation Dallas home tour, right? And they do it every year or every so often. I don't know. I assume it's every year. And they take these houses that have been restored. This is one, I can't remember. It's the Kessler Mansion, I think is what they call it. It's like one of the original big houses here in the neighborhood. And the people have renovated it or restored it, somewhat renovated it, but mostly just restored it. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Love it. The grounds are beautiful. It's just stunning, right? But stunning. And it looks like something out of maybe Lake Como, or that you might see. It's kind of Italian Renaissance style. It has a fountain in the front. It's really, really pretty. Anyway, but so that was going on. So there's a lot of traffic in the neighborhood. And it's just around the block from us. Like I walk past it on my morning walks. And by the way, the First Lady, Laura Bush, stopped by to tour their home too, and that was a big deal. That's a total aside. So I get a text that morning from Michael Wilmoth, who his wife Debbie Wilmoth actually watches Cooped Up frequently. And Michael grew up in our house. So our house has only belonged to 5 families: the Pendergasts, the Wilmoths, the Pendergasts sold to the Wilmoths sold to the DuBoses sold to the Prices, and the Prices sold to us. So 5 families have ever lived in our house. And our house was built in the early 1930s, like 1934, 35, something like that. But in all that time, 5 families have raised their kids in this house, all of that kind of stuff. And the Pendergastes are the only one that I have never met or know anyone from. So Michael Wilmoth, he was a kid. He was born he was a little baby in this house, grew up in this house. I don't know until when. And I've met him before. We were on a home tour at one point before we did some of our newer renovations, but when we had just done the kitchen, he came through, gave us an old picture of the house, which we have framed in our library now, and all of that. But he has 2 sisters also, and a wife, Debbie. So he texted saying, "Hey, I'm here with my sister Sandy and Debbie, his wife, who is a lovely, lovely person. I've interacted with her on social, never met her until this week." And he was like, "We just did the Preservation Dallas tour. Would it be possible for us to swing by the house? I'd like Debbie and my sister, who also grew up in this house, to see it." And I had walked to Taco Deli and was there all by myself because, again, kids. And I was like, "Yeah, just give me about 30 minutes. I'll finish my taco. I'll walk back and you can come by." Get back. I do a whirlwind, like, decluttering of the house. One of those where you just open shit and throw shit into the behind a door. And they come by and they tour the home. It was a lovely visit. I love when this happens. Over the pandemic, the DuBoses, Ollie DuBose, who was also raised in this house with his siblings, stopped by, and they're the ones that grew up here in like the 80s. Because I would say the Wilmoths were here in like the 60s and 70s. The Pendergastes were the 30s and the late 30s through like the early 50s, I think. And then so the late 50s through the early 80s, actually, I think. Because I think the DuBoses bought it in the early 80s. I'm getting into the weeds too much, maybe. And the Prices lived here like the late 90s through, or the mid 90s through when we bought it in 2008. So, and obviously we know them because they moved just down the street and we bought it from them. So we've met them before. But the DuBoses over the pandemic showed up. They've not been in the house, but we sat on the front porch with them and talked about what's going on. There was a big magnolia tree in our front yard that unfortunately we had to take out because it was starting to rot. But little stories about all of that. But we had a lovely visit back to my original story. We had a lovely visit on Saturday with the Wilmoths, Michael and his sister Sandy. They pointed out like which rooms were theirs, things that we had changed that they had not seen before, things, the way they used a room, like the way they used the library is different than we did. It was more of a den for them. Original things that aren't original that we thought were original. It was a great visit. And then of course, lovely Debbie was there with them as well. And so that's a lot of fun. And then they got to see all the new stuff that has happened to the house. Also, again, we think we have 2 haunted rooms in this house, and they confirmed again. They were like, the 2 haunted rooms of the house are the one I'm in right now, and what used to be like a quarters above a garage, which has now been kind of sucked into the whole of the house, and then the room at the top of the front staircase where Mr. Pendergast died. And we are convinced that room was haunted too. So without prompting, they were like, "Oh, this is the haunted room." And I was like, "Yes, it is. This is the haunted room." So multiple generations of children have also been terrorized in this house by ghosts. So yeah, I think it's funny. So it was a lovely visit. So Debbie, if you're watching, it was wonderful to meet you. Tell Michael I said thank you. And it was lovely meeting Sandy as well. I know Debbie watches sometimes live, but usually on the repeat. So but we just hugged and just hung out like we were best of friends, like we've known each other forever. Monica is reporting back on the children. A toothbrush and a wire hanger. That will straighten them up. Why can't I get the respect that I'm entitled to? Yes. Drama. So, what else? That's all I got today. Well, that was a wide-ranging list of topics. So we go from dead animals in the wall to... Now I don't even remember what I talked about. What else I talked about? Oh, fights with my kids, the thing I was just talking about, to lovely visits of people who have lived in my house. If you know any Pendergasts that once lived in Oak Cliff, Custer Park specifically, give them a shout out and let them know that we want to meet them, because they're the only ones that we've not met and have no existing relationship with. And I don't know, it just feels special to have a relationship. So, because I'm not one of your fans. Yes, exactly, Eric. I was like, don't make me Christina, your ass. Oh my God. I hope my evening gets better. Well, there were some slam doors, and I suspect there will not be any sightings at all. Kids will decide that they're not hungry. I saw Mason making chicken nuggets right as I was coming upstairs, so I'm hoping that he maybe is tiding himself over. But yes, thank you, Mother. All righty, well, with that, I'm going to say bye. Do I have to? Can I just stay here with you forever? That sounds so much more lovely. Anyone want to chime in? I can have guests. I'm welcome to do that. I'm just fishing at this point. So, all righty. Well, with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I love you. It's important to know you are loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much. Today was particularly therapeutic, so thank you. I will not be here tomorrow as a programming note. Claire has an eye doctor's appointment tomorrow at 4:00. She's getting contact lenses. I'll keep you posted on that. Actually, I need to make a note about that. Because I didn't know that kids got contacts this early. My employees have since told me I was incorrect. I didn't get them until like second year of college, but that's a whole other thing. So but I'll revisit that tomorrow with you, or not tomorrow, Thursday with you, because I will not be here tomorrow. Hopefully the silent treatment has not extended until then. Because you know what I do when I get the silent treatment? I just talk, ask questions that require answers, that sort of thing. And I just do that for fucking sport. So, what else? Don't shoot yourself to death. No good comes from should. And I'll see you Thursday at 4:30 for another episode of... oh, Mike, you started where I'm in the 7th grade? Okay, well, that makes sense then. Alrighty. We'll revisit that on Thursday. So I'll see you Thursday at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live. Should I say, talk to you later. Bye.